This person was involved in anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian demonstrations at Columbia University, which 50, 60 years ago was common, including Columbia, University of California, Berkeley, University of Wisconsin. Many demonstrations, anti-war demonstrations had on these college campuses. It was a rite of passage for many people to participate and express their views, contrary to the government opinion. So he did that, and now a new administration comes in and labels him virtually a terrorist and want to export him just because he said something bad.
Welcome to Third Side Convo with your host, Bob Phipps. Your panelists today are Ted Johnson, Don Thomas, Michelle Walters, and Larry Haber. And now, your host, Bob Phipps.
All right, everyone. Welcome to Third Side Convo. Tonight, we're doing something completely different. We got no pre-planned topic. We got no scripted talking points. We just spent the last 15 minutes in the pre-show tossing around ideas, and the panel has officially landed on the topic of the recent deportations. Now, this is a real conversation, the way people actually talk in real life. I mean, trust me, meet some of these people. They talk like this. No research papers, no fact sheets, just perspectives, questions, and honest discussion. So let's dive in and see where this goes. Panelists, let's start with this. Why was this the topic that caught your attention? Larry, why was it the topic that caught your attention?
Because we have terrorism and terrorists in our midst, and we need to do something about it. We have every right to do so.
Okay, Ted, what's your reply to that one?
I think it's a stupid law from 1789 being used to kick somebody out because they don't like what he's saying.
Okay, Michelle, what do you know about this one? Or you've been Googling?
It's my understanding, though, on this particular individual, I mean, and it's not just, his personal opinions and his First Amendment right, though. It is also inciting terrorist propaganda. It is, material and information on anti-America and, and dissemination of hate.
But I thought free speech was supposed to be okay.
Pro-Palestinian was anti-U.S.? Okay, never mind.
Well, it's not pro-Palestinian, and we've got to remember this person is not a U.S. citizen. That's first and foremost.
With a green card, however. Does have a green card.
Green card doesn't do anything. My son-in-law came from India on a green card, and the one thing he knew before he became a citizen was to keep his mouth shut.
Absolutely.
And not to get in the middle of things that would cause a problem. This guy came in specifically to do that.
All right,
I don't know about that either.
Okay.
All right.
Don,
look at the history.
Tell me your thoughts on it. What do you know that happened? Can you tell us do you know the situation? If not, I'll have somebody else fill us in who we're talking about here.
I don't know exactly what happened. I just know that the guys, against the Palestinian thing, what's happening. But it's free speech. It's a free speech thing. He's not. We've seen far worse guys coming not in this country, coming over here talking crazy. So
okay,
I don't understand it.
Fair enough.
If he walked up right now and said, "I'm going to kill the president," what would happen?
It's like anybody else. You would have to, It's like anybody else says it.
You don't think the Secret Service would be all over him and deporting him?
If your speech is not going to...
He didn't say that when he was... He didn't say that when he was demonstrating in front of Columbia University. He was just expressing desire that the U.S.
demonstrator, Ted. He is the organizer.
So what's wrong with that? It's called expressing your first opinion right.
Sure. Injuring janitors and storming classrooms. Yep. That's it.
Well, that happened on January 6th, and that was okay, right,
okay.
Larry? That wasn't a big issue at all, right, Larry?
All right.
That was just expressed.
Okay, let me jump in. Let me jump in because some of the people.
False equivalency, Ted.
Well, no. Here's the reason I want to jump in. Some of the people normally I would have talked about the incident and stuff, so we've gone around it. A lot of people may have heard about it. Ted, I want you to try. I'm going to have Larry do the same thing. Ted, tell us what actually happened or what was the issue that they're having an issue with, and please also say why that it is an issue. And in other words, why does the other side have it? So what actually happened here? What are we talking about?
This person was involved in anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian demonstrations at Columbia University, which 50, 60 years ago was common, including Columbia, University of California, Berkeley, University of Wisconsin, many demonstrations, anti-war demonstrations had on these college campuses. It was a rite of passage for many people to participate and express their views, contrary to the government opinion. So he did that, and now a new administration comes in and labels him virtually a terrorist and want to export him just because he said something bad.
Okay, good. Okay, that's a good point. What's the background on this, Larry? The details of it. What do you know?
The background is that he's a Syrian Palestinian. He came over and was already agitating the terrorism side of things, which is fine. He wasn't even in the U.S. He gets a green card and lies on his visa that he's here just to study. And that's not what he came here for. And he's actually the organizer behind people getting hurt, classrooms being disrupted, being holed up in rooms for 2 or 3 days. Columbia does not have the ability to deal with their Middle East studies. This isn't all of Columbia. This is one area of Columbia, and it's the Middle Eastern studies that's been taken over.
Okay.
Wow. Real threat to U.S. Better kick that guy's out. It's a threat.
He's going to hurt people and ask people to hurt people.
Dozens and almost dozens of people hurt. Wow.
Hey, Ted, what organization does this guy belong to? Because from what I understand, the organization itself maybe is an anti-Western culture type of an organization. I don't know. I'm just throwing that in.
I don't know what organization he belongs to. If he's pro-Hamas, which means he's pro-terrorist, yes, that's an issue. But that just means he's expressing ideas. I mean, you have people in the U.S. expressing all kinds of things, including hate against Jews by white supremacists. They don't go to jail.
Hey, okay, Michelle. Yeah.
University, they do.
These people. First of all, I mean, if I'm sitting there and paying $100,000 though for my kid to get an education, I don't care what your political, viewpoints. If you are hindering my child and having the ability to sit there and have an education that I'm paying top dollar for, you've got to go. You have to leave. You know what I mean? If you're going to sit there and hinder anybody's education, and not only that, but incite any type of fear into the Jewish community, absolutely no. We don't need you. Go, leave. You know what I mean? We have no room for you. Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily, opposed to Trump sit there and withholding all of that funding, whatever it was, the $450 million.
Okay, so
they get this under control. These children have a right to go to school in a peaceful and a harmful environment.
Okay, but isn't the point on the left a fair point? Ted and I we just missed it. We're just the age that we just missed out on the anti-war riot. So's Larry. We missed out on that.
Riots or demonstrations.
Well, but what do you mean? Okay, I didn't mean that in a bad way. So I'm saying we missed on that. But isn't this similar, Larry? I mean, come on now. Isn't this still a free speech issue?
Go ahead, Michelle. You take it.
No, I mean, no, it's not. I mean, back in the day, when I lived from, California and over there in Berkeley, they would sit and have protests. They were overall peaceful protests. People were not harmed. Property was not destroyed. If it was, it might have been, at least it's my understanding, some litter, some small, items might have been,
okay, so
but we're talking full-blown vandalism. We are talking about people being hurt on a day in, day out basis. We are talking our law enforcement to try to sit there and contain these people are being harmed.
All right, so
that's crossing a line.
All right, so what you're saying is somebody who says organize or has who's speaking about this stuff, and if people go out and destroy things, that he needs to be held accountable. He's not going out and destroying. He is just speaking. So we have people who are in this country who are Palestinian in Congress who's been a Palestinian side. So you're saying
he says I planned the bank robbery, but didn't.
Right. He's not. Yeah, he didn't plan
it. I'm lying. Don't let me.
We have a big case in our country that we had some guy speaking, and some people went out and destroyed all kind of stuff, and he's I'm not saying who this guy is, but we all know who it is. So he was speaking, and the people went out and destroyed our own property in the country.
He has directed this exactly step by step and escalating where he needs to. He's been in control.
Not sure about that either, Larry.
Not sure about that either. That's not necessarily true.
No? Directed. I can see proof of that. Yeah. I mean, he told people, let's go in and
hand it over to you on a silver platter and say, here's my playbook.
That's pretty much what it takes to convict people in court.
Well, you got to have the plans and everything else, because people go out because you speaking, necessarily.
We
got the-
are
the
not
going on.
putting him in jail. We are just asking him politely to leave. He doesn't belong here.
He's in detention.
Absolutely.
He's being held.
He's being held as a political
All
prisoner.
he
What do
has
you
to
call
do
that?
is say, "I'll go," and they'll deport him.
Yeah, but he
Exactly.
doesn't want him to be
Deportation.
deported.
Come on,
He's a
guys.
political prisoner right now, right?
You know what?
So the
though? I
fact of the matter is, he's expressing his
Amazon
rights and
package,
using the
he can't
constitutional
ship them
rights to have a fair trial. What's wrong with that? Where's
Fair
your habeas
trial for
corpus,
who?
Larry?
Yeah,
Where's
the
your
Show me
habeas
in the
corpus?
Constitution where it's a fair trial for someone that's not a citizen that's inciting terrorism and
He's
harm.
not inciting terrorism, Larry.
Well,
He's not
Oh,
inciting
yeah?
terrorism. That's a
Okay.
big step.
That's where we differ, Ted.
Oh, really?
Well,
So what's inciting terrorism? What did he do to incite terrorism?
Let me ask you this, though. I mean, do you think the Jewish students on Columbia campus feel safe? And who do
No.
you think that they pointed if
No.
to?
Not at all.
Who I know, but who is it that you're saying, hey, listen, you know what? 2 months ago, I was able to sit there and go to school and attend classes, and it was perfectly fine.
Right.
Now it's not. So now there's a particular organization that has come in that is hindering my education. You know what I mean? Either whether they're getting student grants, whether they're paying for it themselves, or their, you know what I mean, their family is paying for it. So who do you think that these Jewish students are sitting there and pointing to and saying, within the last couple of months, who is creating discourse to where I can't go to school, and my parents now want to pull me?
Well, a guy named Netanyahu in
Yeah,
Israel
yeah,
was bombing
yeah.
people
Wanna
indiscriminately,
put blame on-
and that was their
By
reason
the
why.
way, this is the Jewish students in the Middle East Studies program
Right.
that it affects mainly. The ones that they went into the school and took over the classrooms and barricaded the doors were classes that were either upon Judaism or Israel. Okay? And it's a Middle East Studies program. There's plenty of programs on Egyptian history, Palestinian history. Nobody's walking in and telling them they can't have the class and everybody should leave because they're going to get hurt.
All right.
You
well,
know
let's,
what, though? Try to help them go to New York and sit there and go into a black studies class with a bunch of black kids. Trust me, they will shut that down in 3 seconds.
All right, well,
Thank
let's stop this part of it, okay? And we're going to take a break. No, but this is good. And one of the things that we do, let's face it, you guys talk by email between shows and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and nail down a couple of questions that Ted said and Larry said and look into it just a little bit more. Because all we can do is talk about things and learn a little bit and understand where the other person's coming from, all right? So please subscribe to Third Side Convo on YouTube, Facebook. Please like us and all that other stuff. And we will see you right back after a word from our sponsor.
Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again and I can't play my games.
Call Your Computer Solutions today, and we will scan for viruses and clean that computer up remotely and make it fast again. Our phone number is 407-826-0810.
Thanks, Dad, my computer's fast again. Now I can do my homework. Thanks for calling Your Computer Solutions at 407-826-0810. The Tri-Beer Show would like to thank Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures for being one of our sponsors. I got to go on an airboat and saw a real gator. I even got to go to the gem mine and mine for some gems. We ate a steak dinner at the restaurant and even got some gator bites. If you want to have a blast with the entire family, I suggest you go to www.bcairboats.com right now. Get your tickets today. The website again is bcairboats.com.
Isn't he? I know. The problem is he is now no longer considered cute. It's totally different now. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So let's.
He's still a good-looking kid. He looks like his mother.
There is no question about that.
He
Thank
looks like his mother, so he's still good-looking. So
There
he
you
looks
go.
like his mom, so he's
All
a
right,
good-looking kid.
Does anybody have any?
Thank God he don't
Hey,
look like
Larry. Hey, Don, what I'd like to do now is just kind of finish this, and we're going to go to the other deportation issue. But Larry, you understand the issue of why the free speech isn't? Aren't we kind of not? I mean, it is still free speech is part of the issue. You still understand why Ted
as a lawyer, Bob, I think that free speech, First Amendment, if you went all the way up to the Supreme Court, would have a good chance of not being upheld for someone that's not a citizen.
Good point.
And I'm not saying that lightly because I don't think that should be the case, but I think that's what even happened in that particular case.
Okay.
So I don't see anything except time. It's going to take time to get this guy out of the country. Too many issues that'll
Larry,
fail on.
Are you a constitutional lawyer, Larry?
No, Ted, but I have a little bit of background being a lawyer for 43 years. So I use that in my background to help and read and study and understand stuff that's applicable to my profession.
Okay, so my question then to Ted and Don, do you understand why if somebody is not a citizen, is asking to come in this country, should be maybe not allowed to be in this country if they are fomenting the type of demonstrations, and that's maybe what we need to look into a little more. But do you understand the point on the right, y'all?
Okay, yeah.
Please.
If it's proven that he's done this instead of just speaking about it, that he actually got mapped and he actually went out and done it, and he was proven in the court of law, he's got to go.
Okay,
or like that, just because people don't like what he's saying and everything else, and somebody else does some stuff that he doesn't like, or somebody else takes the action about what he's saying, that's not on him. That's on the people that done the actions.
Okay.
I'm just saying there's a process in this country.
Okay, so y'all are understanding each other's side. That's all I can ever ask for. Ted, right. I know you're throwing your hands up and discuss. What do you think?
So the point is first thing is, was he in the country before October 6, 2023?
Who knows?
That's the first thing. He was in the country before him. So then he's not an agent of Hamas. He promotes pro-Hamas ideas.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is he's reacting to a situation. It's a worldwide issue with ramifications everywhere, including the United States, because Israel is such a big partner of ours in the Mideast. Right. So the fact of the matter is he's expressing an mainstream thought, and he is apparently a threat. Does that make him a threat to the government? And this is the whole issue.
Okay.
The law is based on a threat to the government. He's speaking at a college demonstration, like Larry said, that regards a very small percentage of the Columbia University students. Is that a threat to the U.S. government?
Okay,
I don't think so.
Michelle, you answer, and then we're going to go to our next topic.
Okay, but you basically stated there, Ted, that maybe this particular individual is pro, he is pro-Hamas, he is pro-Palestinian. What type of, and my question for you is, in their forms of putting their message out there, is it done in a peaceful or in a non-peaceful format? That is not necessarily in it, and in the format that they are used to conducting, is that something that is acceptable within the United States?
Okay. It is. It is just the way it is. We get white supremacists to parade and spout racist diatribes, and they don't go to jail. You got people who.
I'm sorry, Bob, I got to get it here. October 7th, whether he was here before or after doesn't make any difference. He came here specifically to do what he did.
I don't know about that either.
No, he came here.
How do you know that, Larry? Specifically, how do you know that?
How do you know that? Because look at all of his history. Have you read his background for the last 15 years? I have.
Specifically,
read it.
Okay.
Read it.
The administration has sat there and done their particular due diligence and has an understanding that this man has a long history. It's not just, oh, guess what? We're just going to arrest this person because he's been an asshole. No, it doesn't.
And by the way, the big picture of this is we're not trying to put him in jail or make a criminal out of him. We're just saying leave.
Go home.
Most people would just say go, and that's
Go
it.
home.
This has become a political issue, and that's why we're talking about it.
And the thing is, people are saying, what is the charge? Okay. What is the charge to deter them?
It's criminal procedure, Ted.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Well,
so you can just kick out anybody at any time you want, which is what they're doing, basically. Okay. That's what they did to Venezuelan people who, there's no habeas corpus on a bunch of Venezuelans getting shipped to El Salvador. How many are really gang members? We don't really know, do we?
All right. Well, Ted has led us. Exactly. Give me a second. Ted is leading us into the second deportation we wanted to talk about. But the one thing I did want to say, guys, is why don't we get some of the follow-up, like getting into some of the questions that's being asked by each side, and actually get them on the comments on the video when the dang thing posts. Because I agree with you. There's some unanswered questions here. Is it free speech? Is it, does free speech only, apply to people that are, here? Legally and all that other stuff, and he clearly was here legally. So let's go past that one. Here's the next one. Ted, why don't you give us the quick summary of the Venezuelan deportations that just happened?
Well, the current president, living up to a campaign promise, rounded up a bunch of people who he thought were criminals, loaded them on planes with very little answer, very little preparation, and flew them to El Salvador and stuck them into apparently a notorious prison. And it's not, there was no habeas corpus, which means they were not formally charged and told what they were being deported for. Excuse me. There are questions on whether or not some are even gang members.
Okay.
So, excuse me.
Sorry. Well, I could jump over to Larry or Michelle if they know about the facts of this case a little bit. Larry, what's the facts while Ted gets some water?
Are they in this country legally, Ted?
What, Larry?
Are they in this country legally, Ted?
No.
Well, Larry, what if they're in a part of the appeal process of getting a green card? Does that mean they get kicked out, even though they've been already registered?
Two separate issues, Ted.
I don't know, but you absolutely right. I don't know.
Now we're talking about illegal aliens into this country. We have the right to deport them anytime we want.
Well, hold on a second. Do we need...
almost like at-will employment.
Well, we do need to say here...
They're not all illegal, though.
Guys, stop for a second. We do need to understand this is a violent Venezuelan gang we're talking about. Right. Now, the question is, are they all violent Venezuelan gang members? Because that's who we're talking about. You know, we didn't just throw just this normal person off the street that happened to be here illegally. They are purported to be violent gang members. And Ted's point might be good as to, in other words, did we go through the proper channels? Michelle, what have you read on this thing?
I don't necessarily know whether they're all gang members or not, but when they're over there and they are now currently in a Venezuelan prison, I'm assuming that they're going to have to sit there and go through their own due course over there, and you know what I mean, for them to be able to decipher on whether these people were gang members or not. And if they're not gang members, then they're able to sit there and probably go off and go live their life in Venezuela. But
no, it's actually in El Salvador. They have been put in this prison in El Salvador is the most secure prison possibly in the world, and it's designed for gang members. And it's basically designed when they go into this prison, they don't get seen again.
Right.
And we're paying El Salvador probably a lot less money than if we tried to keep them in our jails. It's a hell of a deal for us. Don, what do you know about it?
Okay, I got the part that I know about it is some of these Venezuelans that came over here. They all came over here on visa. They all came over here with the promise. They came over here from Venezuela on their legal status, and all of a sudden they found out some of these guys are gang members, so they started deporting some of these people, and not all of them are gang members. But the problem I have with is, you're just saying that they're gang members. You don't have any proof that they're gang members. You're just grabbing them all up because they may have a tattoo and like that. You have no proof. So you just round them many people as possible.
Guys, read the Constitution.
And then you're embarrassing them. Then you're shaving their hair, putting them on TV, putting them in a prison. You're doing all this stuff that you did like to the January 6th people. Now you're complaining that these people have no process. And you're doing the same thing. You just let other people out. It's like a hypocrisy going astray, you know.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, we're gonna have to take our next break, and this show is just moving real quickly, just the way I wanted it to. Y'all are incredible. We're hanging to our political sides. I wish there was a little bit more agreement over on the other side when you recognize that, but we'll get there. Please subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, thirdsideconvo.com. That's where we are, and we'll be right back.
Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
All right, welcome back.
We got to go back. He's
welcome back, Larry. Hey, Michelle, you shouldn't have talked off camera like that. He's going to drop us back and start in on me again. So don't talk when you're not on the screen, so we couldn't hear you.
in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, welcome back, y'all. We're having an interesting conversation here. You know, one of the things I'd like to do in this final segment is on any of these subjects, please can y'all reach across the aisle just a little bit and give some understanding to the other person, to those friends, those new friends of yours. Can y'all please give some credence to both subjects on the arguments of the other side, and then we could battle either through email or we're going to battle by comments on the site to find out some of the truth about this whole situation so we can all learn, okay? So
I'm in favor of deporting Ted. There you go.
I need to be deported. Yeah. Yeah. Scotland or Ireland.
We have the third segment, and that's our third segment.
Yeah,
There
you go, exactly.
Topic of the day.
Well, hey, Michelle.
What country do we deport him to?
Well, that's it. What I need to find out is what tattoos does he have? Because apparently the tattoos are the biggest thing they're using to determine whether they're a Venezuelan gang or not, from what I understand. Ted, did you hear that?
No, Ted, do you have any tattoos?
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's not like anybody else. Just only Venezuelan gang members have tattoos. So that's how you can tell.
But the problem is they're just saying who these people are. They have no proof.
Okay.
You can go over and say anybody, but that's the problem I have with it. You're just rounding people up because you're saying they're a gang member.
Okay, Don.
Can I go ahead?
Y'all go.
I'll say one thing. One thing about the government as opposed to business is that the government has to take into account the lowest common denominator, okay? Whereas in business, a certain guy who's an activist and cleaning out the government now, he comes from business where he says, you know, the bottom 10% of our employees don't work. Let's get rid of them. Well, you can't really do that in government. When you have a bunch of Venezuelans rounded up and maybe 2 or 3 of them are maybe somebody's cousin who has nothing to do here, but he's a bricklayer, but his cousin is in fact active in the gang. You're going to ship all of them out just because he lives in the same apartment as his cousin? That seems to me contrary to the ideals of our country, and that's what I live up for.
Okay,
there.
Fair point. Larry, do you understand that thing that we might have rounded up some people that'll never be seen again that are sitting in El Salvador with a shaven head and, you know, on their knees?
I will trust the government to at least find people that they think are eligible to be taken out of the country legally and shouldn't have been put in here, allowed to come in to begin with. Yeah, it's easy to laugh at it and say the government doesn't know how to do anything right, etc. But the whole point is that's why we have government.
Well, that's funny because there's somebody who says the government doesn't know how to do anything. That's why they're cutting everything.
I'm going to reach out on here. I'm going to reach out on both sides over here and give Larry like a big bear hug.
Oh, thank you, Don.
And then I'll take Michelle because I can carry her to anywhere she wants to go. You know?
But not El Salvador. But apparently El Salvador is doing a lot better now. Once they've put everybody in prisons, it's a lot safer place right now. So, Don, you don't have a basic problem with sending away gang members, right, to another country to save money?
If they're proving gang members and you prove that they did a crime, hey, shit, get them out of here.
All right. I love it. We're in agreement there.
It's true. I agree with that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that would be something.
But how do you know?
To sit there and bring up on the comments later on is being able to sit there and see, okay, well, did our government do their job? Did they do their due diligence? And are these people, you know what I mean, actually have a history of what they're being accused of? And if therefore this is a reasoning behind their deportation. This is the reason why, you know what I mean, they've actually been displaced in another prison. Because it's, you know, like I said, it's not one of those where they're just coming in and grabbing random people.
Yeah.
There is a reasoning behind their selection.
Wow.
You know what Larry said.
I just think it's kind of fishy. And they promoted, had the video cameras and they had all the systems ready to go and got production cameras and buses and all this production, all these different all ready to go already. Shaving their head, had a system ready for something. Something is not right here. That's what
I'll ask Larry. I mean, nobody was individually charged or given a red rights in terms of what they were able to do, or more importantly, why they were held in detention and put on a plane. It wasn't done individually. It was just done in mass.
Well, let's try to figure that out. Maybe that's what we need to do with the show here. Look, this has been one of the best shows I've ever seen in that y'all listened a little, you mostly listened. You said your points, and we kind of got out of everybody where they kind of agree. But what we found is what I loved is we've now got a little bit of questions on follow-up. And one of the things I'll try to do is pull stuff out of here that maybe we can follow up either on the comments or on the emails or whatever, because I agree with you. I'm sitting here watching these people going into this jail where they're never coming out again, apparently. And I'm wondering, are we really doing it correctly? And Larry believes the government's doing it correctly, and Ted's right that every now and then we're bashing the government because it doesn't do correctly. So other than that, guys, we had a great show. Thank you very much, and we will be back to you next week. Please subscribe, thirdsideconvo.com, or on Facebook or on YouTube, and we look forward to seeing you next week on Third Side Convo.